Okay, this is like attempt number 4 or 5, but my reattempts of trying to explain this stuff is going to make a better tutorial for you, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is talk about the measuring tools today, which are found up on this left-hand corner right here. I'm going to talk about the tools basically working from right to left because it's kind of the simple to more complicated tools in that direction. So starting with the note tool, go ahead and click on notes. It'll bring up this dialog box up in the top left hand corner where you can manipulate the font size and the type of font, but you can type in this box, this is my enter note, colon, enter, hello world. I'm putting enters in there to show you that those actually get put into this note. Now this is the size of the note. These objects you see on screen are actually quite large. They're about over 2 feet in one direction and about 2 feet in the other direction. This is my 2x4 table. This isn't something that I'm cutting out. It's actually a redesign of my go-kart, and I wanted to do it in here. But it gave me an opportunity to use the dimension tools, and so I thought I'd go ahead and create a tutorial on this. I said dimension tools, but I mean measuring tools. Dimension tools are part of the measuring tools. Okay. So anyway, this note, I think there's a couple of important things about the notes that you have to realize. First of all, you can't manipulate these notes like you can text. If I double click on this, it's going to bring up that dialog box again where I can manipulate it. But if you try to break this, Control B, you get an error that says, hey, you can't. This is a node object. You can't break path on it. In fact, if you were trying to go create tool paths, I bet you can't even create a tool path on this type of object. And when you go and create a file with notes and measurements in it, and you go and import it into your Torchmate software, test. This one I do have a note in it. The notes do not show up. So that's the cool thing about the notes, is you don't have to worry about removing them when you want to go and cut things out, because I mean they don't show up underneath Torchmate anyway. So anyway, that's note. Nothing special about it other than what I told you already. Okay, so the next one we're going to move on to is the arrow draw. Now the arrow draw, it says click and drag to form an arrow. So what I'm going to do is left click, hold it, drag. It says release mouse button to begin the second arrow segment, because there's another segment, and then click to create the note. And now that may not look like an arrow key, but remember this is a large thing that we're working with. I'm going to create a note, say this is something unique, I don't know. Okay, so close this. If we zoom in on this arrow tool, you can see that yes, there is an arrow. Okay, so sorry about my stuttering. If you're going to use this, you may want to use it on a sharp corner like this, if I can find it again. So left click, hold, drag out, let go, click. And I know that this is 19.5 degrees. In Windows, if you hold down your left Alt key and hit 167, that'll create a degree symbol. That's kind of a cool little note. So 19.5 degrees. Anyway, that's the arrow tool. Use it where you want. I have tried to manipulate this arrow. I guess you can come in here. If you double click on this, you can try to select, different types of lines and arrows and things like that. I'm not going to worry about that, so I'm going to delete these. Okay, so next tool that we're going to move on is the dimension tool. This is an object dimension, meaning the whole object. So if I select that tool, first of all, do you want to use inches, feet and inches, millimeters, centimeters, whatever? I'm going to use inches. Do you want to use fractions? Over here you can use decimals or fractions. I'm going to actually do fractions. I think that'll be kind of cool. This is how accurate you want it, down to the 64th, 32nd, 16th. What I'm going to be cutting this out of, this is not something I'm going to be cutting out on the CNC machine. It's just something I was designing in here for visualization. But I'm going to be cutting these things out on a chop saw, so a 1/16 of an inch is close enough for me. I'm not going to manipulate the lines or whatever. I like the default. So the font, I think I have a decent size. We'll go up to 48. Say OK. Now if I come and click on the object, I have 4 points. If I drag out from any of the outside points, you're going to get your overall dimensions, 27 and 3/16, 33 and a half. Okay, if you grab this one in the center, I can't tell you much about it. I don't know much about these tools. It'll create this I don't know what to call these lines, these guidelines or whatever, right down the center of the object, which I guess could be useful. But in my case, I don't care. So I'm going to leave these other ones alone though. I'm going to shrink these in. You can see you can manipulate them. If you try to do anything with these like break path, it's going to complain. You can't do that on this type of object, which is fine. So now I'm going to go ahead and move that in just a little bit. Now, one thing I do want to show you on this doesn't apply to anything that isn't horizontal or vertical. If I have this and it's 33.5 inches and I want it to be 34 inches, as a measuring tool only, not manipulating the part, I can come up into this box right here, type 34 inches. It will make it 34 inches wide, and it will change the text in here to represent the measurement. That's only on horizontal and vertical. You can't do it on angles. I'm going to Control Z to undo that, but I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go on to the next measuring tool. This is the Dimension Tool. The Dimension Tool has a pro and a con to it. The pro is that you can go and get a dimension off of anything. The con is it's not accurate. It's not like it's snapping to points. It's not going to snap to this point. If everything was built to the grid and everything snapped to a line on the grid, that would be fine, but I never build anything that snaps to the grid. It's too constraining on what I'm trying to do. So what we're going to do is, you just have to realize it's not going to be that accurate. So I'm going to move in, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to left click, hold this, drag it out to the point that I need, release my left click right here, and then you can move this in and out, and I don't have any mouse button pushed. Then I'll just click and it measures at 3.59. This is the inaccuracy I was talking about. If I zoom in, you notice I missed that point. If I come over down here and zoom in here, you notice I'm really close there. I missed that point too. 3.59 doesn't mean a whole lot to me. If I wanted to make it 3.5 inches, I can't because it's on an angle. You can see that it takes these outer bounds of the box, and that is the object, not this little piece in between, but the whole outer dimensions is the object. So you can't go and manipulate that, at least via these boxes. Now if I take this and I drag it in and out like this, it will change the measurement, it will manipulate it. So you just have to live with it. At 3.58, I know it's 3.5 inches. I can live with that. Okay, that I actually don't need that dimension, so I'm going to take that one out because it was measured on the wrong side anyway. So let's do a couple of things. As with the any other drawing tool, if you click on a point, drag it out, and hold down Control. Okay, so no Control, I can manipulate this between these points. If I hold down Control, it's either vertical or it's horizontal, and it's always fixed. Okay, I gotta stop saying K. Okay, now hold this down, Control down, release my mouse button down here. I can release Control also. Drag this out 5.02 inches. Again, you can come up here to precision. I want to do it in fractions down to a 1/16 of an inch. That's not going to change anything I've done up to this point. Hit apply. Oh, it did. I eat my own words. Okay. So Dimension Tool again. Click here, drag out, hold Control, get it to the point I want, let go of everything, drag it down 5.5 and 15/30 seconds. I know that's supposed to be 5.5, so I'm going to manipulate it up here 5.5 because it is horizontal. That didn't necessarily line it up perfectly right here, but I can manipulate that with my arrow keys. Okay, I gotta stop saying that again. Okay. Moving on to the last tool, the measurement tool. This is cool. Actually, before we get to that point, I want to show you something I created. It's going to be on another tutorial maybe in a week or so. I do not know of a way, after creating objects underneath Torchmate and manipulating the angle, say we want to rotate it to 33 degrees, okay? 33 degrees, and once that has been created, I don't know of a way how to measure off of a vertical or horizontal line how many degrees that is. If you know of a way, please let me know. You can go ahead and put it in the notes on YouTube or something. What I did do though, however, is I created this protractor, and this is going to be in another tutorial as soon as I refine it a bit. But I created this protractor, and so I figured I can use it here to measure my angle. So I place this protractor on that point. I come down here and I can see that it's 19.5 degrees. Now if you remember, Alt 167 will give you a degree symbol, so I'm just going to, in this case, I'm going to use the notes and type in 19.5. Hold down Alt, click 167. That creates my degree symbol there. Manipulate this, you can move it to where you want, 19.5 degrees. Using the protractor again, let's go measure another angle, this one. I'm using my arrow keys, shift arrow to move it more quickly, arrow to do the finer refine steps like that. So that's close enough for what I'm doing. It's at this point. What is this angle? Well, I started at 0, I'm at 90. This angle is 146 degrees about. So let's go ahead and create another note. (146) Alt 167. Don't ask me how I memorize all these things. I can't remember. 146, 147. Come in here and change this. 147. 147 degrees, and that's fine. Now 147 degrees actually represents this angle, but I'm going to need to cut each of these pieces evenly, so 147 divided by 2, 73.5 degrees. I can come in here and put a note for 73.5 degrees. Now I do want to show you something very interesting. If you take this final measurement tool, this measurement tool allows you to change the dimensions of everything on the screen. If I measure, let me simplify this. Let's get rid of almost everything on the screen. Move all of this up here, over here. Now, right now we're about 40 inches by 35 inches. If my overall design was too small and I needed to manipulate everything at once, you can come in here and say I was measuring this piece here to here. Click and click, and it says it's 4.24 degree. It's 4.25 is what it's supposed to be, but it's just my accuracy on how well I click. 4.244, and it's like I messed up my design and said I needed this to be 5 inches. Click on 5 inches, apply it. Everything on screen, including my protractor, has been sized up. So if I highlight everything, now we're at 47 by 41, where before we were like 40 something by 35. You'll notice that my degree notes and everything stayed the same. However, all these measurements that I've taken earlier are different. They were manipulated in addition to, well, when the whole thing was resized, it even resized my Dimension Tool measurements, and it adjusted them accordingly. 6 and 31/64, 32 and a 16th, 39 and a half. So Control Z to undo that. So now we're 33 and a half, 27 and 3/16. So 5 and a half. So that's kind of a cool little function. Now we're going to take that function and we're going to use it in another way. So I'm going to delete everything right here on screen, except the protractor. Nah, I don't need it either. I'm going to go into my CNC folder, type in 3D because I want to go into the 3D puzzles that I have purchased from Make CNC. And let's go pick a dinosaur. We're going to go into DXF, inch, and let's choose the 16th inch. So whatever dinosaur this is, for a 16th of an inch, it takes up roughly 10 inches by 7 inches. I've seen problems with these puzzles, and I think this is where this would come in very useful. If you take this measurement tool and come into one of these sections where the pieces slide together, let's measure the narrowest part of that neck. Click here, click here. Remember, this is for a 16th inch, and if you're cutting this out with like a router or something, you can probably get a little bit tighter tolerance because you don't have a bevel. It's cutting down with like a milling bit or something. So this narrow point of the neck is 0.052. I know for sure that is smaller than a 1/16 of an inch. Calc 1 divided by 16 is like 0.062. Yeah, 0.062. So first of all, that's not even the right size. I've seen that problem with these puzzles. Second, you can see that the line isn't completely these lines aren't completely parallel. I went and cut one of these out once, and I tried to clean all of these up with grinders and things like that, and what a nightmare that was. I just finally gave up on it. So I didn't know about this tool at the time. I just kind of discovered this on accident. I don't know, probably after that, a year ago or something. You take this tool and you can say, okay, I'm going to click on this point, and I'm going to click on this point, and it's 0.062. Okay, so we know that's right. That's a 1/16 of an inch, but say like I need a maybe extra 32nd of space. So plus 1 divided by 32. Just as in all math operations that you learn in going to school, all multiplication and division are done first, all addition and subtraction are done second. So it'll divide 1 by 32 and take that decimal amount and add it to 0.062. Now it's 0.093, and if you look at this puzzle, it's all been resized accordingly, and every single piece that I go and measure now, let's go measure this narrow point here to here, is 0.075. That's better than the 1/16 of an inch. So I gave myself a little bit of breathing room. The pieces should slide together nicely. In my case, I'd probably weld these together and stuff. That'd be kind of fun. I may have to do one of these. Okay, so what I want to show you now is the exact same thing, but we're going to resize it. Say we want to cut this out of 1/8 inch material. So let's go up here. It's going to be 0.125 plus. I want to give it another 32nd of an inch for a little breathing room for my beveling. Okay, and this has been resized. You can see it's filling up my sheet. This is a 2 foot by 4 foot sheet. Watch what happens when we go and bump it up to 1/4. Same thing. It's not going to be a surprise. It's just going to be a lot larger. 0.25 plus 1 divided by 32 to give myself a little breathing room. And notice that doesn't even fit on my sheet. This would probably be a good point where you'd want to either manually manipulate these objects. Yeah, I realize that when you import these, they may not be a single object. You may want to manually manipulate these, use your nesting software or whatever. That's not for this tutorial. Anyway, I just wanted to show those tools. Notes, dimension, overall dimension, arrow tool, regular dimension tool. They do not have any type of tool path applied to them. You can leave these notes inside of your file and not worry about any of that. Measurement tool. It allows you to manipulate everything on screen. First of all, you can measure it, but as long as you don't change any of the settings, you can just get the measurement from here to here. And then if you want to manipulate everything, you can change what that measurement should be, and everything on screen is sized accordingly. Now, one final thing to mention about this is if you go and print out notes, at least in my case, I'm on a Windows 7 64-bit system, that may make a difference. But if you go to print out, I'm going to grab let's just delete most of the stuff on screen. Resize this. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Dimension tool and show you what I'm trying to explain is one perceived problem. Okay, you notice that you have these lines. Let's go ahead and use the regular Dimension tool instead of the Object Dimension tool, and we'll just say I want to know what this point to this point is. And I don't have everything even, so obviously the text is big here and it's not here. That's fine. When you want to go and print this out, for instance, I'm going to use the preview option and hit OK. You notice that my dimensions are not showing up on the print. And I don't know why they're not this time. They were before. That's annoying. They may very well show up. I'm going to manipulate this, move it down, Control P. When I go to print this out, this is what the print preview shows. I'm going to actually hit print because I believe, based on previous testing, that the dimensions do show up here, but the lines do not. So this line and this arrow, this line and all around don't show up, but the 4 3/16 will, the 2 1/16 will, the 2 3/8 will. And if my printer would ever finish, there we go, they did not show up. So I cannot explain why they showed up sometimes and did not show up at other times. Let's try this one more time. Highlight everything. See if the highlight makes a difference. It doesn't. So I don't know what cases this will show up and what cases it will not show up, but there are times when it will show up. Preferences. I'm just trying to see if there's anything in here that allows you to go ahead and manipulate these. So anyway, setup, scale by percentage inches. I don't see anything that says include or exclude those. For some reason they're not showing up now, and they did before. Just be aware that those lines are missing if they do show up, and just the measurement itself shows up. Anyway, thank you for watching.